right, guys, what's going on? It's Clayton Wobble Elliott back again with another episode. I think this is episode 8, maybe. Fuck, I don't even know. I'm losing track already, but it's another episode of the Let's Get Wobble podcast. I'm back with another good friend of mine that I haven't had an interview with since season 1. It's definitely been overdue. We tried to figure out a way to do it, and I just came over after work on his day off and decided we were going to fucking do this. But back here again with Stevens. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, bud?
So, fill everybody in since the last time we talked. And obviously we toted the line the last time we talked, so obviously we have to be a little bit careful about what we talked about.
Yeah.
But it's been an entire season where people haven't heard anything from you. And with me, I filled everybody in about me buying a house since the last time we talked, and me and Kristen still being together, just kind of recapping everything that I've been through. So just give everybody kind of a recap of what's going on with your world since the last time we did the podcast.
Yeah, but my world's always crazy. I don't know. Some days it feels like it's repetitive in and out. But that's what you get with kids. But we've had some new things happen. We're getting a little farther on the process of getting our financial stuff figured out. Our kids are getting older, so that's starting to become priority now. Be able to financially free ourselves, to be able to financially help them in the process. So we've been getting that stuff figured out, grinding to get there. At the same time, we've added a couple things for our family fun. We've added a camper in the mix and a boat in the mix.
Not a motorcycle yet, unfortunately.
No. And trust me, if it wasn't for me having such a family aspect in my mind, I would for sure have one.
Well, we need you to get one because we now have Stu prospecting for us.
Oh, yeah?
Neff is coming to the next meeting. He just bought a motorcycle.
No kidding.
So Neff's coming. Sorry, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, motorcycle is definitely on the to get list, but when I'm a prioritized kind of guy when I start looking at things, and when I look at it, boat is a situation that we can utilize as a whole, as a family. Camper, same thing. So when it comes to investing, that's kind of where I lean. And by all means, I've had motorcycles. I've sold motorcycles. I don't have them. Part of that reason why I've sold them is because I didn't get much ride time. These kids started getting older. Sports started happening. Shuttle. I became an Uber. And it just got to the point where I was riding a couple miles a day, and the bike was sitting more than getting rode. And I got rid of it at that point. I miss it. I miss riding. It was definitely a stress reliever for me, and I think about it. And it was, of course, that option that's always set when you go in to make a big purchase, like a camper or a boat. But when it comes down to it, I can't take kids on a bike. It's very seldom or rare that me and her can get out by ourselves. So it just ultimately comes down to making smart choices with our money. Now, that's not saying that it's not in the plans, because it is. Eventually we're going to get there. Our kids are getting older. It's going to start phasing out one by one every year. Seems like one's going to turn of age, but it's going to get to that point where we're going to get back to our roots. It's just taking care of responsibility, taking care of the kids first before we can get back to what we started with.
That's another hard thing with the motorcycle club too, is I've passed up first shift bids already. And I told Playboy this too, when him and I did, we just talked today. I said, that's what kind of sucks about the club. Nothing against it. I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I have to have some sort of the weekend off, a split weekend, whether it be Sunday, Monday like I had, or Friday, Saturdays like I have now. And it's just basically because I need it for the motorcycle club. We do so much things on the weekend, and we haven't really talked about it yet, but you just switched. You were on third shift.
Yep.
With Thursday, Fridays you had?
Yep.
Or did you have split weekends?
Nope, Thursday, Friday.
And then you just not recently, but since new to the second season of the podcast, you switched to first shift Wednesday, Thursdays.
Yes.
So has that, you think that's made a change for you? I mean, obviously the shift change is different, but like, has it made a change in your life, you think, or has it made things easier, made things more difficult? What do you, well, how are your feelings about that?
It has dramatically changed the way that my life runs. Um, it, it's hard to talk to some people. Some people understand, but in the sense of my life, how my life is operating, it operates a lot more smoother. I get more home time. And again, there's arguing standpoints between first shift and third shift. You can get just as much time on third shift. The problem I had was adjusting to the time. I just wasn't the person that enjoyed waiting for work to come, and it kind of made me lazy in a sense. I didn't really want to do anything before work because I had to work all night. And of course, when I'm at work, I'm not a sleeper, so I ain't trying to take a nap. So switching over to first shift got me, and of course I mentioned that I ain't prior to working third shift, I never worked third shift in my life. So even being on it over a year, I could not get adjusted to it whatsoever. So it messed with me mentally. It got me pretty negative about things I shouldn't have been negative about. Pressure at home was getting there just because I didn't feel like I was getting sleep, and I felt like I was having to do a lot before going into work. But switching to first shift rotated all around. It gives me a sense of I have much more of a normal life. I can go to work, get my responsibility out of the way. I got the rest of the day. I can do what I need to do, run the kids where they need to be, take care of dinner and all the responsibilities at home if mama's at work, and still get to bed and wake up and do it again. It's just for me personally, I operate much better on that. I operate on getting work out of the way at the start of the day. I'm much more productive throughout the day on my responsibilities at home, and then going to sleep and waking up and doing it all over again. It's much more normal
Yeah.
for me.
I'd like to have first shift. Like I said, I've passed up a couple bids already and I could already be on first shift. And I'm the same way as you. I've always worked first shift hours
Hmm.
from before the sun gets up until halfway through the day. But then when I started where we're at now, going from working those morning shift hours to now working 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., it's like you said, it's weird, but you don't want to do anything before work because you
Hmm.
know you have to go into work.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm waking up, I'm like, oh, time to go to work. It's like, well, fuck, there ain't no sense in doing anything now. I
Right.
got X amount of hours before I got to go in. And
Right.
then when you get off, it's so late.
Hmm.
I'm not a bar scene kind of guy. And
Nope.
plus, I got Kristen at the house. I got way better things to do than go hang out at the bars till they close.
Right.
So it's not like I want to go hang out at the bars or anything. So it's like, what am I gonna do at fucking 10 o'clock at night? I'm not gonna go home while she's sleeping and start clanking the dishes around and fucking start sweeping the house and
Hmm.
shit.
Yeah.
And it just makes it really difficult. And then you only have 2 days off to get caught up on everything. It
Hmm.
seems like it's crazy how much that puts a wrinkle in your fucking system
It.
just from the shift change. But I'm glad that it's working out better for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you when you talk to some people, that's been kind of my struggle, and that's why I hung it out on third shift for as long as I did. Just trying to get used to that. It's just I think you're built a way. I think you're built a way that you can do night shift and you can operate that way, or and you're a first shift guy or you're an afternoon guy. I mean, personally, I think the afternoon shit is for the birds and for younger
You
guys.
did it for a while with us.
I did, and
I really wanted you to come
and
back.
I tell you what, if it wasn't for kids and family, I'd probably be on second. That's just my favorite part of the day, of what we do, and I'd be there. But it's just that those hours ain't meant for a family guy. That's
It's
meant
just not.
for a young bachelor. That's just how it is. Third shift is meant for, in my opinion, it's meant for sacrifice. You're able to go to work, but you can give up some sleep, still make it to sports events, take kids where they need to be, and everything else. the first shift, at least for what we do, our hours, it still gives you that ability plus some. But the difference in third shift that I realized that I just wasn't built for third shift was the fact that I got extremely lazy. I had no initiative, I had no drive, and like we mentioned, it was constantly, I'm gonna have to go to work, and it made me not want to do anything before,
Yeah.
and it, of course, put a piss poor attitude in me, made me negative about all kinds of stuff. Made me start losing focus on what's legit. But first shift, at least for me, that's where it's at.
And I've even seen it too. Like I know you're not super active on your Facebook, but
Mm-mm.
just seeing you and Tosh post things on your Facebook of how much time you're spending with the kids in the
Hmm.
afternoons, and it seemed like you guys had company over just not long ago. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but
Yeah, it's she had it's pretty much a surprise visit from Tennessee. She had her cousin and his wife and kids come in from Tennessee. It was kind of one of those things that it popped up. This time, usually he won't give us a notice until he's about an hour away. This time he's like, "Hey, I'll be there in a day." So it's just a pop up kind of thing. But it's the family that we enjoy. So we don't have much of that. There's a lot of maybe a conversation for another day. There's a lot of I don't want to call it drama, but I'm just, at least for me, I'm less fortunate that I don't have a close knit family, at least extended family.
yeah,
And she does, but doesn't. It's just kind of a weird situation,
yeah,
and they're within our age, in our ballpark. We enjoy their time, they enjoy our time, and it's their house is where we stay when we go to Tennessee, where we like to frequent quite a bit. But yeah, they came down, spent a week with us down here. Why they would want to come to Ohio and spend a week, I don't know, but we made the we made the most of it as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, Tasha and I's relationship has gotten it started closing back up again. Things has gotten better there. It wasn't never bad. It's just,
you guys probably spending a lot more time together and quality time,
yeah,
especially.
it's that quality time, and of course my attitude of it too, I wasn't just draining myself, I was draining my family, and I didn't even realize I was doing it, kind of thing. I just knew, eventually came to a point where I knew I either had to change hours or I needed to change jobs.
Yeah,
That's just how it had to be. But fortunately for me, I fell into a position where I could maintain normal hours again, and it's been a game changer for me. I'm not negative. I've been super positive about things. Job is enjoyable. Nah, I won't say enjoyable, but it's been
tolerable.
doable, tolerable.
Yeah,
There it is. There's the word. Um,
it's one of those jobs that once you start, you get sucked into it, and you just can't fucking.
yeah, because it's just so much. There's so much there, and there's so much to gain and so much to lose.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things that it's not easy. It's not McDonald's.
props to being public safety.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of positives to that, especially with an older guy. I'm not old, but in my age bracket, you just can't be jumping around jobs. You can't just be fucking going here, doing this, doing that. Now it's just getting into that line where you really got to think about commitment, career, retirement, and all those things, and not to mention everything else that provide health insurance, vacation time. There's a lot of variables in there that you have to compete with. But to where I was working third shift, everything about that job was negative, and I was willing to give that job. I was willing to give all that up just because of what it was doing.
Yeah,
Um, but what I've learned and what's kind of amazed me is just something as simple as in understanding who you are and what you can deal with, and something as simple as me just changing hours kind of changed that whole scenario for me.
That's kind of what I'm hoping too. And I haven't talked to anybody really about it because it's just been a recent thing. But with the job that we do, I put in for a transfer to a different department, if you will. But it would change my hours. I'd be working 4 10s, working those first shift hours. And I mean, Kristen and I have the same days off now, thank God, that I was finally able to get split weekends. But when I got Sunday, Monday, she changed her schedule so that way she had Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. So we
Mm-hmm.
spent 2 days together. Well, then I switched to Friday, Saturdays because it bettered my life with the club. And I'd also have college football off, which I'm super excited. We're super close to
It's
college football now.
close.
So
Yep.
so I switched to Friday, Saturdays, not because I really wanted to, but I just felt like it would be better.
Mm-hmm.
God bless her heart. She switched to Friday, Saturday, Sundays. So we still had 2 days off together. And I'm like, this is great. I really appreciate her. She didn't have to do all that. She, scheduling her appointments with her clients that she has and shit. Well, now if I get this new spot with this new department, I would have Saturday, Sunday, Mondays off, which if she could switch back to Saturday, Sunday, Mondays, we'd have 3 days off together.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, listen, I'm really sorry, but I can't just switch my schedule again. I said, I wouldn't ask you to do that because I know you've already done it twice now. But she said eventually down the road, if I did get this new transfer spot, she said that she would consider doing it. But I'm hoping, I've prayed about it. Hopefully it happens. But if it doesn't, I'm still not in a horrible boat. But I'd like to get a taste of those first shift hours again. Get back in a regular fucking routine,
Mm-hmm.
having weekends off, and just getting back into that cycle that I used to be in. Because I remember what it was like. And I was like, man, I really kind of miss it. But at the same time, I'm not going to leave this place. But
Yeah.
I miss that first shift weekend off grind that
Yeah.
we've been accustomed to.
It's just that to a lot of us, it's just that's normal function.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm more than happy to work 8 hours and come home and put another 8 hours of work in at home, and have no problem doing it. It's just, and to me, it's a much normal way to live.
Right.
But I can't. It's hard to speak it too much because some people's normal is third shift.
Yeah.
Some people's normal is afternoon shift
Or a swing shift.
or a
Somebody's
swing shift.
normal is a swing shift,
See, and
which would
that,
be
that that shit's crazy. I don't know how that could be anybody's norm. Shit's you're fucking you're working different shit every week. That's crazy. But then again, I don't know what works for you doesn't work for me, and
right.
or it could.
I just hope that I can get a sense of normalcy again, spend some quality time with Kristen in the evenings like we used to. Well, never really used to because it's always been this way with her
Mm-hmm.
and I. She started seeing me or I started seeing her, whichever way you want to put it, when I was going through training. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always been this kind of schedule, which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, it worked out for us
Mm-hmm.
as well as it has so far.
Yeah.
Um, we were trying to think every year we try to take a vacation of just us vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, with buying the house this year, I didn't understand how much it would cost to buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'd, take the loan on and everything, but it drained my savings account completely. So I was
Yep.
like, we can probably take a little vacation, but not something like we did before. So
Well,
we've been
it's
thinking about it. And I know you said your family was from Tennessee and the Warthogs have a tour to Tennessee right at the end of September. And I've been thinking about it, but I was like, man, I just don't know if I can make it work because all the time I'd have to take off work and shit. But I just miss that quality time that I get to spend with her. And
mm-hmm.
like last night, I come home and I was fucking wide awake, wasn't tired, which was weird because I just got done working a double the night before, and I was
That
like
yeah, that
trying to
should
have
have
a
thrown you off.
conversation, huh?
That should have thrown you off a little
It
bit.
should have, yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, which I mean, I did go to bed earlier than what I normally do, but I got home and I just wanted to talk to her, like, hey, how was your day? This and that, blah blah blah. This is what happened on my day. This is what happened on my double. Here's what color fucking sock. This random ass bullshit. And she's like, Clayton, I love you, but I'm ready for bed. Get the
Mm-hmm.
fuck out of my face and let me go to sleep. Which it is what it is. But
Yeah,
I just
that's
hope I miss that normalcy, and I hope I get a taste of it again.
you will one
I
way
hope
or the
so.
other. It
Yeah.
just unfortunately for us, or maybe not for you, with this transfer, but I mean, we have to go through a little bit of sacrifice, to get to where we want, and knowing that at the end it's not going to be forever, so the sacrifice for me is, yeah, I can work day shift hours, but I'm going to get Wednesday, Thursday off,
Right.
not a weekend. You know what I mean? So there's little sacrifices in there that you make, but I strongly believe that regardless, especially now, regardless what fucking days you have off, it's nice. It's nice, the thought of, I ain't had weekends off in over 3 years at this point, so it's nice to think about one day I will get weekends off. But I don't think at this stage, this what has became, I don't think it's a priority at this point. It's just I get off at 2 o'clock anyway, so it's not ruining my day either which way it goes.
Right.
So um, and I think in a healthy relationship, you know, it helps. It helps when there's some kind of normalcy and some kind of balance in there. It's only standard if she's working day shift hours, you should be working day shift hours,
Yeah.
But I do think once you get there, you're going to be like, holy shit, I've been missing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think it gets any better than the job that you're trying to transfer to. There's one small negative about it, but it ain't gonna beat you up too much.
It'd be a pay cut regardless, and that's what somebody was telling me today. They were like, the only reason they haven't done it is because it's so much of a pay cut for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, me with my time in, it's $1 pay cut.
Right.
So asking around with like people that have been in this situation before, they're like, it's easier to do it now and get it over with. That
Yep.
way it doesn't hurt as much as if you try to do it when you got 10 years in.
Right.
To where a lot of people would love to do it, but they can't afford the pay cut anymore. So I
Yep.
took all that in consideration. I can live with just $1 pay cut, especially
Mhm.
for changing my hours, changing my shift, changing my
Mhm.
days off, like that.
Yeah,
Weighing the pros and cons, I could also lose out on the special teams that I'm a part of,
mhm.
which it just depends. I still have to talk to my commanders and see if I can figure out if I can still do that shit. But at the same time, if I can't be, the pros still outweigh the cons. You know what I mean? It would suck, but it is what it is. And like I said, I hope it works out. I really don't know. The application deadline's over.
Mhm.
The only people that I've heard about that put in for it was the people you told me about. So,
Mhm.
I think my chances are half-assed if I put it that way.
No,
You know,
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think I think you got a good opportunity, a good swing at it. I don't think I think with the people that I know that has applied, I don't think there's competition in there, as far as, because there's little things that's involved. There's disciplines, and
yeah.
there's
There's
just,
military experience too, which both of them have that I don't. Which I don't know if that persuades one way or another with this application. I don't know.
I
I
think
know
it
I've got a college
would.
degree. I don't know if they do or not, but
I think it would if there was some kind of strong character there. I mean, it's a locked in deal as far as that goes. But um, I don't know, man. I'd be curious to see who ends up with it.
like I said,
I
all I know is the deadline's over of applying. So I don't know. I'll keep everybody in touch if I get an interview, but
You will.
I
Everybody's
told
gonna get 'em.
everybody, I said, you just have to know what we do and where we're at. And we
Mhm.
can't even talk about it, but just getting an interview for me would be like, I have a half-ass chance. You know what I mean? Because
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of people don't get interviewed. We're already dipping our toes too far down in this water,
Mm.
and I want to fucking pull out of it before we get too deep. But like I said, I've already thought about it. I've talked over. I've weighed my pros and cons. I've prayed about it. We'll just see what happens. But
Mhm.
hopefully, I go that. That's the route that I take. Like I said, I think it would add that normalcy. It would add that time back into my family that I'm trying to make and make it whole. Not that it's not whole now, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I absolutely know what you mean.
It's that void that you have that you just,
Mhm.
it feels like you can't fill when you're on different ships and different
Yeah.
days.
You're not operating life as a single man anymore. You
Yeah.
got you got other responsibilities, other things you got to think about and worry about. And that's a task on its own. Good task, that's what we take on, but of course, we can't think for ourselves anymore. You know what I mean? So we got we got to always look ahead and look what's best for us and what's going to do best for our family, and move forward with what we got to do.
You talking about what's best for us and Mr. I got a fucking CPAP that I don't use.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I know we're going to talk to on this. It's so funny because when I got mine, I was like, man, I'm an outcast. Like, this is weird. I have to have a fucking machine to help me sleep. But
Mhm.
then you start talking to people at work about it, and they're
Mhm.
like, oh, I've got one. Another
Mhm.
guy, oh, I've got one. Oh yeah, I love mine. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the fucking outcast anymore.
Right.
I love mine. How you're not being able to fucking go with yours, I don't understand.
Listen, I can't say that I don't love it, but I'm a very stubborn character. And I'm not. I haven't been able to come 1,000% okay with the fact that I need one. I mean, of course, after the study and the tests and everything, I mean, I'm in bad shape when it comes to it, and I for real need one. But the problem I run into is my stubbornness, and there's been a way that I sleep for years. There's been a way that I've laid for years. There's been a way that I'm comfortable, um, and it's throwing my game off. And uh, and I'm just, I don't know, call it stubborn, call it ignorant, call it, I'm probably stupid, really, because I actually need it. I'm putting a lot of stress on my body without it. But I can't get past. I mean, the issues I've run into is the damn fucking hose comes off,
Have you talked to your
and
doctor about the difference,
no,
a different mask?
no,
Why?
because I have 3 different masks, and then one that you let me borrow, and the one that you let me borrow, absolutely, I like it better than any of the other ones I have. The problem that I have with that bitch is it leaks like a bitch. And no matter what I do, I can get maybe one good night out of it. Then after that, I can't get the damn thing to seal up.
Really?
So it's kind of one of those battles. Hey, I'm by far in some situations a warrior, and in this one, um, I think I make excuses every which turn I can make it, just because it's not comfortable for me. I can't, I can't go to sleep early. I can't, the one of the problems I have is being prepared for it. So often I'll fall asleep. This is the start of it, but I'll fall asleep and not put it on.
Oh yeah,
And
I've done that
then,
a couple times. But here's the thing that drives me crazy is I'll fall asleep and I'll forget to put it on, and Kristen will be like, "Hey, you got to put your mask on,"
mm,
and immediately I'm like, "I need to put my mask on because if not, you know how those nights of sleep are,
mm,
especially you because you're a lot without it.
mm,
Those nights of sleep without it are ass.
yeah,
Wake up and feel like you got hit by a fucking bus.
and it is, and that's the part that I'm struggling with, because I noticed a difference when I work, and I know that it's helping. I know it's better, um, but for some fucking reason, I can't get past the uncomfortableness of it. And I mean, and unlike you, I don't. I hate the fact. I despise the fact that she tells me to put it on. There's just something about it
I hate it because I
that
have
I
to get
don't.
up and put it on. But I know, like I've told her, I've blown her off before. I was like, "Yeah, I'll put it on," and I'm laying there and fucking I'll pass out. But like,
Mm,
I don't like taking a nap on the couch, or I don't like fucking going to sleep. I went on vacation to Michigan. I took that motherfucker with me. I don't
yeah,
leave the house without it.
I think I think all I need to do is get into a solid routine.
Yeah, the
Um,
routine's the biggest thing, and you need to talk to your doctor because they make a shit ton of different
yeah,
masks.
they do, and see, and that's my other pitfall. And it sounds like I'm making a bunch of excuses, but I hate fucking doctors, and I hate doctors' offices, and I hate it. To me, it's time being wasted for me when I could be doing something else. But the reality of it is I'm not a young man. anymore. You know, I am getting older, and just the fact of not wearing it is going to get me there much, much faster. So I don't know, man. I think if there's one battle in my life that I've been fighting the most is the CPAP situation. You know, I know I need it. I know it's from what I've been told, it's a do or die kind of situation, and I acknowledge everything and the importance of it, but I'm not, for whatever reason, not willing to sacrifice my comfort in the process of doing it, and that's stupid. I mean, and anybody that was telling me that, I would tell them they're fucking ignorant. But I I don't know. I was blessed or unblessed with with being very, very stubborn in what I and things that I do. So that's something that I'm working on. But I've also been, looking into the sleep bullshit that they put in you.
I saw that too. Yeah, it's something they actually put inside of you, and you turn it on with a button.
Mhm.
But
And
if you don't like doctors, you ain't gonna fucking go through that regardless.
yeah, but see, the thing is the last thing I want is some foreign thing in my body.
Yeah,
And dealing with doctor and dealing with some kind, even though minor, some bullshit surgery. Um, but at the same time, if I can't mentally strengthen myself to get past and get into a routine, that may be the fix for me. You know, it may be a situation is like, ah, fuck it, I'll suck it up for this day, go in and put this thing in me, and I ain't got to worry about it ever fucking again.
yeah.
You know, I ain't got to worry about wearing this damn mask or the uncomfortableness of it, but at the same time, it's helping my health. So it's it's one of those things that I got to spend this fall really processing and thinking about. Um, and me being a family guy that I am, it should be a lot more urgency to it than what I'm applying to it. So, I mean, I take full credit for my ignorance to it as far as that goes. And there's a lot of things that I live for and want to live for. Um, I just the stubbornness, man. I hate that. I hate it coming unplugged at night. I hate the sound of it. I hate trying to sleep with it. I hate everything freaking about it.
I really think once you get in a routine, it'll fucking help. Because that's
Yeah.
what my hardest part was. Of course, once you get it, you have to use it for 21 days within the month. And
Yes.
at first, I was like, man, this sucks. I hate it. Like, I don't want to wear it. I fought it for hours.
Mhm.
But once you get past the point of fighting it and you get used to it, it was beneficial to me. And like I said, I won't go anywhere without it. But I know you were talking too, is like your stubbornness and stuff like that. I saw a TikTok video today. I was just scrolling through watching him. This guy had I want to call it just for reference, like a fabric tape measure. You know, there's
Mhm.
one that stretch out that you measure whatever.
Yep.
So this guy had like 100 centimeters, let's say, of a fucking tape, and he's like, this guy asked him, he's like, if you could give yourself, your 20-year-old self,
Yeah, I shared that.
advice, did you share it?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that today, I think.
Yeah.
But he cut like
Mhm.
the bigger half of it off. He's
Mm.
like, okay, most guys live to their 85, so he cuts the bigger end of it off.
Mhm.
He's like, okay, so 85, and I have a lifespan here. And he said, I'm 57 now, so he cuts everything below 57 off. And he looks at what's left of the tape measure, and he's like, this is all I fucking have,
Mhm.
and I have to make the best of what's left here. There ain't nothing I can do to make this. He said, now, granted, I could live to be 100, but he said, it's not given. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Most guys live around about to their, I think he said 75, 80,
Yeah,
whatever the fuck he had.
it was 70
Yeah.
something.
But I saw that today, and I sat back and thought about it, and I was like, man, that's really a good way of thinking about it. Like, you're
Mhm.
never going to get, for me, my teenage years back,
Right.
ever. I'm about to turn 27 on Thursday.
Yep.
So I'm almost out of my 20s, really.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get any of that shit back. And God only knows, I don't know when my last day is. So I'm trying to make everything of what you have left, and
Count.
not knowing how much you have left, like you said, count.
Mhm.
I I've been trying to take better care of myself. I need to do better. Like, I need to get down. I've been talking about going to the Caldwell walking track for probably a year now.
Yeah.
After work, just going down there and walking a couple laps. Like, what's it going to hurt me? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like, I'm already on a blood pressure medicine. They got me on fucking testosterone now, which isn't helping. I need to fucking go to my doctor and tell her that these pills I don't think are working. Maybe the blood draw says something different, but I think I might need the injections now. Like I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm only 27. I got all these fucking problems. I need to fucking start taking care of myself.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of things will start kicking in to you, and it don't get better neither. But one of my biggest things I say is if there's one thing that is guaranteed that we have in life, that's choices. So we all have that choice to make. And some of us, it takes a kick in the ass to get there. And I mean, some of us have a thing that pushes us to do what we need to. But I'm in the same boat. I need to. I'm not on any medications, but the biggest thing I think about, especially after seeing that video, because that's reality right there. I don't think many of us really think about that. I think we go into every day thinking we have plenty of time to go about life, and one day it's not going to be there. And that fella, it hit home for when I seen it. It's like, you're not getting back. That's for me, that's 34 years I'm not getting back. That's a long time. That's a lot of time. And then you look at it, the average life expectancy is 70 something for a man. It's like, well, holy shit. I only got this much time left. What the fuck am I going to do with it? And the other biggest thing for me too, I got 4 kids, and they're getting older. I got 15, 14, 13, 10, and the biggest thing I think about every day is grandkids. Obviously it's way too soon for that, but one day I'm gonna have grandkids, and I often think about, like, how do I want to be when I have grandkids? Do I want to be old, walker, wheelchair, barely kicking, or do I want to be in the front yard rolling around with my grandchildren? That's so it's often something that sits on my head every day too, but um it's just one of those things, like, you ain't gonna change it unless you do it, and it falls back on it's the choices that you're making. And I don't think I'm as aggressive as I need to be at it. Yeah, I need to go walking. Yeah, I need to go to the gym at least a few times. But I have taken into account what I'm eating, watching what I'm drinking. Um, I'm doing all that stuff too. At the same time, my wife is very much into naturalism. There's been a lot of things that I have learned throughout that process of um, big pharma and medications, and what those do to your body and what is not good about it. Um, so I mean, yeah, health, and honestly, I think a big problem of most of us Americans, at least, is what we eat, what we're consuming. I think I think we put a little bit more attention to what it is that we're consuming would help out a lot. But yeah, I'm with you. I should be taking testosterone too, but I don't, because it's synthetic.
That's what my doctor warned me. She says, just so you know, when you start this, it's synthetic, and if you start it now, the pill that I'm on isn't synthetic. It's tricking my supposedly it's supposed to trick my brain into telling my body to make more testosterone.
Yes.
And if that doesn't work, then I move on to the synthetics. But she's like, then your body becomes dependent on that synthetic
Mhm.
testosterone. And to be honest, like it's not causing me any major issues, but like they've told me it's supposed to help boost your energy levels. It's supposed to help you sleep better. It's supposed to help you do all this shit. And I'm like, man, I'd love to have that. But at the same time, you weigh your pros and cons. And
Yeah, like my cons, and the problem I have is I do a lot of research and I do a lot of reading. Um, and there's just certain things in there when it comes down to it that I don't like reading, and I don't it just don't weigh out for me. And that, when it comes to the cancer terms, and I know it don't matter what the fuck we look up, that's what it always resorts to. But you can't help but to think when there's an issue when our big pharma and everything has as much money as they do, and they haven't figured out a way to allow our body to manipulate a way to make testosterone naturally, that they can only provide it synthetic. I find there to be an issue
Got
with
a
that.
bug crawling on you.
Um,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just didn't want that bug crawling in your ear.
no shit.
I saw it come up your shoulder and it was starting to go up your neck, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
I've actually had that happen, dude, and I'm telling you, I freaked out. Like I had a moth fly into my ear, and I've I freaked the fuck out. Like I'm telling you, there's nothing worse. That motherfucker. You can hear it, like obviously super good because it's inside your fucking brain, but you can hear it, and then it starts creating a little bit of pressure being, and then outside of that, it's you know there's a fucking bug inside your ear, and you don't know how you're gonna get it out. My wife ended up like drowning it out. Thank God for her quick witted thinking. You know, she tried a flashlight to get it to be drawn to light, and then she's like, "Well, fuck it, that ain't working. I'm gonna drown it out. It's gonna have to come out one way or the other." And she filled my ear full of freaking liquid, and sure shit, it came out. I'm telling you, that was not pleasurable whatsoever. I felt like a freaking psychopath, you know, about to flip my fucking lid.
That's funny.
But yeah, man. I mean, testosterone is scary. It's a scary thing. It does so much for your body, but there's only one way to naturally do it, and I mean that's yourself, and that's diet.
Have I told you the story about my consultation for my testosterone?
Yes,
I told
and
you that story.
you
Okay.
for sure did.
I don't know
And
if I want to share that on the podcast yet or not, because that poor lady. I hope she doesn't listen to it. If she does, she's probably fucking crazy for listening to this podcast. But like,
I
that's
promise,
probably one of the funniest stories I ever have.
dude. That's the
And
hardest I have laughed in
I
a long time.
wish I made it up. I really do. But you can't make that shit up.
No,
Man.
no, it was so. I mean, I even had to relay it to my wife. I'm like, dude, like, but and I told her like Ellie's gonna have to tell you because the way he said it and his experience with it,
Dude, I'm
there's no
telling
way
you.
I can relay it to you the same way.
What was? I can't remember what the fuck it's because it's not called a consultation. It's something else. Oh my it was a urology appointment. Is what it was. Fuck it. I suppose I'll share it because nobody knows where I was at. But this is just the fucking thing for me. But so long story short, I knew that I had low testosterone. I'd already found that out. So I had to schedule a urology appointment to figure out what the fuck my next steps were. So they scheduled me with this person. I'll put it this way as we're letting the story unfold. So I get there early to my appointment. I go into the waiting room and there's no air conditioning on. And I say this because it's an important part of the story. It's hotter than balls in there. I'm sweating my dick off. And I get there like a half hour early for my appointment because I'm like, okay, like people normally show up early to their appointments. Maybe they can squeeze me in a little earlier.
Yeah,
because I had asked to be squeezed in earlier because I had something else going on that day and I needed to get there. And they said, I'm sorry, we can't squeeze you any earlier. You're just going to have to be here for your time of your appointment. I said, okay, whatever. So I get there. Let's just, for time and purpose, saying my fucking appointment was at 1:30. I got there at 1. So at 1 o'clock, I'm sitting there and I already feel awkward as fuck because there's just a bunch of old guys in there. And I'm like, I know what these guys are here for. It's urology appointment and they fucking got whatever. So I'm just here because I don't have enough testosterone moving through my body already at 27, which was awkward. 26, awkward as fuck anyhow, but whatever. So I come in and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and it's fucking miserable. I'm hot, tired, I'm irritable already. And another couple comes in and they check in with the nurse, which I've already done and I filled out the paperwork, whatever. The receptionist is like, hey, the doctor that you're here to see today had a family emergency. She's not going to be able to see you today. Can we reschedule? And I'm like, fuck, that was my doctor. Like, I just overheard him. That was my fucking doctor. If I had to sit in this fucking waiting room for a half hour in this heat, I'm going to be pissed. So they rescheduled those people. And for some reason, they call me back into the back. And I'm like, well, fuck, maybe they'll be able to see me. I don't know. So I go in, and of course the nurse comes in, and she's checking my blood pressure, which is through the fucking roof because I'm hot and sweaty. I'm irritable already. She's like, your blood pressure's a little high. And I said, yeah, I'm on blood pressure medicine. She's like, does it only run high? And I said, when I'm pissed off, it does. She's like, well, are you upset? Like, what's going on? I said, well, I said, I just waited a long time to be in here. And I said, I'm kind of fucking really awkwarded out by this whole scenario. She's like, I promise there's nothing to be weirded out about. It's a regular thing that everybody goes through. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Blah, blah, blah. Doctor will be in to see you in a minute. Whatever. So I'm waiting there, and I'm thinking in my head, I already heard that my doctor had a family emergency. So maybe they're going to have somebody else come in. So I'm waiting. Door opens, and this lady comes in with a lab coat, and she sits down in a chair, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is my doctor. That's fine. And me, just how I'm trained with work and everything, and the first thing I notice is her eyes are bloodshot red, and she's got a tear sitting in the corner of her eye about to roll down her face. And I immediately go, oh, fuck, this is her. Like, she had a family emergency that she just canceled everybody else's appointment for, and now she's here with me. She sits down at the computer, she logs in, and she says, I'll be right back. And she walks out of the room. And I'm like, oh, fuck. This is horrible. I already felt bad before. 5 minutes go by. She comes back in. And she goes, Mr. Elliott, I'm very sorry. She said, I had a family emergency. My vet just called me, or my husband called me and told me that he had to take our dog to the vet, and we're having to put my dog down today. And I'm like, man, I really feel sorry. Like, I understand if you have to reschedule my appointment, but if there's any way possible that any other doctor can see me today, I need to have this done today if at all possible. If not, I get it. I can reschedule. She's like, no, it's okay. She said, I'll work through it. She said, you're my last appointment, and then I'm leaving for the day. I said, okay, whatever. She said, we'll just work through this together, and kind of made a joke about it. And I was like, okay, so she's not in that bad of a fucking mood. So she tells me about all my other options and whatever. And she tells me she wants to put me on this pill, which I'm now taking to produce natural testosterone before we go to synthetics. Whatever. Big ass conversation trying to make me feel more comfortable about my situation. So we agree. I'm going to start taking this pill again after I take another blood draw to make sure that it's whatever. So before I leave, right before I get ready to leave, we schedule the next visit. And she goes, okay. She said, I have to do a viewing before I let you leave today. And I was like, oh, fuck. I know I'm at a urology appointment. There's only one thing they're going to want to view in this appointment. And I was like, okay. And she said, for patients, we have a chaperone also come in too. And I'm like, sure, let's bring in somebody else to look at my cock and balls too. Like, you're not just enough. We have to bring in a third party person just to look at how fucked up my shit is. So I'm like, man, okay, it is what it is. I understand why they have to do it. So I'm like, whatever, let's just fucking get this over with. So I'm hoping that they bring in a male chaperone for me. They bring in a 20-year-old female chaperone, and she goes, hello, Mr. Elliott, I'm going to be your chaperone today. And I went, you got to be fucking kidding me. Out of this whole fucking doctor's office, you guys don't have a single fucking guy with a big ass hairy fucking chest, fucking hair on his knuckles to come in here to see my nuts. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So the doctor tells me everything she's going to do beforehand. So I am prepared. I'm very well prepared as to what's fixing to happen. She goes, okay. She said, how would you like to do this? She said, we can do it with you standing up here. We can lay you on the patient bed to make you more comfortable. And I was like, ma'am, I don't want any part of this to be comfortable for me at all whatsoever. I said, I just want to fucking get this done and over with. So she said, okay, we'll go ahead and stand up. So I stand up, and me being the person that I am, I'm waiting for further instructions. And she goes, well, you're going to have to take your pants off. I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. So I drop my shit to the floor, and I'm standing there looking at the ceiling with my t-shirt in one hand. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even let my pants go. I've got my pants in my left hand at my knees and my shirt about like halfway up my belly, staring at the ceiling, trying not to make eye contact because I'm like, this is really weird. So the doctor puts their gloves on, and she's The best way I can describe it is she is making a bread ball out of my cock and balls. She has my cock in one hand and my testicles in the other, and she's just like kneading them around and moving them and stretching them. And long story short, I told this story. I'm already this far into it, so I might as well say the rest of it. I have a skin irritation down there. I got a chemical burn from a lube that I had used a while back. So my shit is like pinkish in some spot, more pink than others. This is really fucking weird to talk about. But anyway, it's perfectly fine. I've had it checked out before. Everything checks out. It doesn't cause me any pain or irritation. It just kind of looks a little funny. But anyhow, I told her this as she's fucking stretching my shit and moving it all around. She's like, okay. She's like, no pain, no discomfort. And I'm like, no. I'm just waiting for you to get done with what you need to do. So she looks at the chaperone and goes, hey, Megan, can you give me a hand here? And I'm like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. So Megan puts gloves on and proceeds to fondle my cock and balls with this other doctor. I'm like, there is not enough meat and potatoes down there for 4 fucking hands. So there I am, just awkward as can be. 2 fucking people juggling my nuts around like fucking bowling balls. And I'm like, if this isn't awkward, this is bad.
Yeah.
So they're still asking me questions about my shit. They're like, are you sure there's no pain, no discomfort, doesn't itch? I'm like, it itches like it always did. Like, it doesn't itch any more than what it did before it happened. She's like, okay, finally. She's like, okay, go ahead and pull your pants up. So I do, and I'm like, thank God this is fucking over. So we sit down. We finish having a conversation about how, okay, make sure you do your blood draw first and then start taking the pills. Well, you're supposed to take half a pill each day, and then you'll come back and see me at this date. Okay. So she gets up to leave, and I feel the need necessary because I remember that this is probably horrible for her too. She's leaving her work now to go put her dog down. God only knows what kind of attraction she has to her dog. Like, I know my dogs are family to me, so I'm sure this is a difficult thing for her. So as she gets up to leave, I tell her, I said, I'm very sorry, and my condolences to you and your family. And she bawls her eyes out as she walks out of the fucking room. The door shuts behind me, and I go, boy, if this wasn't the fucking most awkward fucking thing I've ever been a part of. Not only did 2 women have to fondle my shit, but I just made my doctor cry after fondling my shit. Like, this is just horrible. So I'm sitting there like, man, I'm glad this is over, blah, 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 whatever. Well, fucking Nurse Megan comes back in. Here you go, Mr. Elliott. Here's your packet. We'll see you back in X amount of days. I'm like, I'm glad you're fucking chipper because you're the only one that's having a good fucking day here.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, man, like I said, I wish I could have made some of that shit up because it sounded like it is made up, but it's not. It all fucking happened, I promise. But I say that because, and I tell the story because it was funny and it happened to me, but I want other people to know, like, if you're having problems with your testosterone or you have to have a urology appointment, expect to have your shit fondled, which is extremely fucking weird anyways by a stranger. But if you can get enjoyment out of me going, and just know, like, if you do go and nothing bad happens, you're like, well, at least mine wasn't as bad as Elliot's was.
Yeah.
But I come home and I texted Kristen before I started back home, and I was like, that was the worst fucking doctor's appointment I've ever had. And she goes, I can't wait to hear about it when you get home. I went home and I told her the whole fucking story. And she's like, you think that's bad? Try going to a gynecology appointment where your legs are all fucking up in the stirrups and shit. And I was like, I feel like it was just as bad. Like, I've never been to a Euro or a fucking gynecology appointment, but like, I can't imagine that 2 fucking dudes in there. It was not fun for me. I had to chuckle about it myself because I was like, this is just this fucking crazy. Like, this is really happening.
Yeah. But I mean, super funny, but I mean, what makes it even more funnier than that is just knowing you and trying to picture your facial expressions and
I'll never forget. I was looking up at the ceiling when I had my shit all fucking taken apart and everything, and I was like, man, this is awkward, but I wonder if they think it's awkward that I'm looking at the ceiling and not looking down at what they're looking at. Like, my mind was going 100 miles an hour on some of the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm like, don't think about anything because
Dead
there's
babies, dead babies, dead
dead babies
babies.
because you got two women fondling your shit right now.
Now
Like,
you don't want to look like
yeah.
a fucking
I almost felt the
weirdo.
need to explain to her, like, hey, I'm a grower, not a shower. Just before we get this out of the fucking way. That way I don't look like a fucking
Shit.
jackass. I'm like, hey, listen, I got more than that.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, it was the most uncomfortable thing, but I was like, man, that shit's just, it's funny, and hopefully somebody else, if they have to go through it, they can fucking deal with it.
No, I'm glad it was you.
So just a little sidebar for you guys. I know that you guys had listened to the episode, and partway through the episode, you guys heard Stevens and I talking about me putting in to transfer to a different department. I told you guys that I would keep you updated on it. Little did I know. So the following day after recording this podcast with Stevens, I come home. I was texting Kristen back and forth, and I told her that I had heard other people put in for it. I was kind of worried about it, didn't know if I was going to get it or not. So I kind of got down on myself about it, but I knew I was qualified to get it. So she told me to just keep my head up and not get my head down and just push through it, and good things will happen if it's meant to happen. So I told her she's right. Everything was good. We would just see what happens and wait for the following events to come forward. Little did I know, I packed my lunch that day. I went in. I got a call from my personnel department. They asked me to come in. They had a couple questions for me. I thought it was something that I gotten in trouble for, but they offered me the position that I wanted. So everything pending, as long as all my things that need to come back good, which I know they will. I'll be starting a new position at work, which I'm super excited for. I'll finally get those weekends off that I've been wanting, and the first shift hours that me and Stevens talked about. So I was super grateful that I got the opportunity to try. But I told you guys I was going to keep you updated, and can't wait to start that new position. So that was just a little sidebar that I wanted to add to. Stevens and I were going to do a longer podcast, but his wife had come home and he wanted to spend time with her because it was his day off, and I didn't want to hold him up and everything. So we're going to go ahead and do the wrap up real quick with Stevens. So let's go ahead and get to that. All right, guys. Well, we hate to cut the story short. We did really good time. I had a really good time, but I know you said you wanted to be cut off by 11:30, and it's way past that. We just ran into Tasha coming in and talked to her for a little bit. But thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast again. Thanks for catching up with me. I had a lot of fun, and we're definitely going to have to do this again. So I appreciate you guys listening. I hope you guys catch the next episode. But until then,
stay wobbled.
Thanks.